Hey Stillwater, welcome to the Still Connect podcast, a podcast all about Stillwater, Oklahoma. I'm your host, Denver Evans, a born and raised Stillwater local and owner of Stillwater Digital Marketing. Every Wednesday, I share a friendly chat with someone in our community that's helping make Stillwater such a great place. Whether you're a longtime resident or just a visitor, this is your place to plug in, stay inspired, and still connect with the stories that shape our community. If you ever want to watch these interviews, you can also check them out on YouTube. For today's episode, I'm excited to share a conversation I had with Sara Alsup with Thrive Flower Farm. We were able to have this interview in Roundhouse Bakery, so big shout out to them. Thanks, guys. Let's jump right into the conversation. How's it going?
It's good.
Good. So tell everybody about Thrive Flower Farm and all the other things that you guys have going on.
Okay, well, Thrive Flower Farm is, we have one mission in mind. We have orphanage in Congo. Our youngest is adopted, and this year will be our 5th year flower farming, and we do grow our flowers in season, but out of the season, the past couple of years, we've bought flowers so we can keep selling flowers. So we have local businesses in Stillwater and another friend in Perkins where we can sell. Mainly what we do is sell flowers so we can fund our mission. I mean, we just little bit of chunks everywhere, and that makes our little Congo world go round. So
that's
what
awesome.
we do.
So what kind of got you started with that?
Well, we were going to do vegetables, actually, is how this started. We did a market garden class as in conjunction OSU Langston class, and so we made it a family event. We went. It was every Saturday for 14 weeks. We hit like week 9, and they started talking about liability if you're if you had lettuce and animals that were farther, up from where you're growing, and like just what that would look like. Yeah. And that was scary.
Right.
I didn't want to have that type of responsibility on just starting and trying to fund. I mean, I knew we had other ways because we'd already been, working towards the, funding the orphanage before that. But one night I just Googled, like, is there a flower farm? I didn't even know that was a thing. And so, and it was 2019, the end of the growing season, and that's where all that started. And it was great timing. We got to plan, look ahead, think, what can this be? I grew up on a cotton farm, so we hoed flowers out of our cotton field. Like, we didn't want any of that. And so my dad always said, a flower is just a weed growing where you want it to. So anyways, that's how it started. We knew that that was a market, and there were people that were buying flowers and so, we just, one thing led to another, and here we are.
Yeah.
Running a flower farm.
That's so cool. So how does that connect to the orphanage in the Congo?
Well, that's that's why we do this. Like, we have our nonprofit set up, and like I said, we are entering, this fall will be our 10th year of having the nonprofit Change for Congo. And so basically we set up, I'm kind of a part of Bobby, my husband. We have Thrive Landscape and Irrigation. He's had that for several years. And when we started this, it just made sense to just open our own account under him. And so, the money comes in through the flower farm, and we just pay whatever we need. And the money just keeps being there. Pay whatever we need for Congo. We pay for school, we pay for clothing and food, and we also have monthly sponsors. But this has opened up, we've been able to increase the amount of kids that we've been able to serve, and just through little bundles of flowers. So, yeah. That's great.
How many are you serving right now?
We have 31 kids, and we started with 12 in 2016, and so it's just slow and steady. So each child, it costs about $100 a month to feed them and give them what they need. But then on top of that, the past several years, the flower farm has paid for school, because it's a quarterly thing. So it's about $1,800 every quarter for their schooling.
That's great. So you all had Thrive Landscape before. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So how long has that been going on?
I think Bobby said, I think he's in year 10, almost 11. So about the time that we started the orphanage, we brought Mo home. Bobby taught. He worked on a golf course. We met here at OSU. We'll just back up a little bit. I have a teaching degree. Bobby has a horticulture degree both from OSU. And so he worked on a golf course for a while, but he had a wise boss tell him that he was either going to be married to that golf course or his wife. And so he made a quick decision to...
He made the right decision.
We're still married. So yeah, it was an easy decision. So we do that. And again, I mentioned the growing up on a cotton farm. It's like all this came together, mid-30s. Oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. All right, here I am.
That's cool. So what was that shift like? Like, how did you come to kind of that realization
of
that's what you wanted to do? Like you said, mid-30s, like,
yeah,
we're just going to change gears.
Yeah. Well, I wanted something that was sustainable for our nonprofit. I had time. We have 3 children. I've always been involved at church or in some capacity with other people's kids as well. Like I've kept some friends' kids. I had an in-home daycare for a few years when we were adopting Mosi. So I've kind of piddled. I've always had something on the side, I guess, and that's where this came. I love growing things. We always, and that's again where that large. We were just gonna uptick our home garden and sell vegetables, food for food. Nothing new. Tom's has been doing that for years, and we just went with that. And there was a learning curve. It's different to grow a row of flowers versus and then the demand, like you question, like, okay, is this going to work? Like, are people going to, the pricing? And because I still question pricing. I'm the worst at that. Bobby will tell you. But I feel like the transition was pretty easy. Not the growing, but it made a lot of sense, with what I had grown up with. My hands were in the dirt. It's what my husband knows. Like, we can work on that together. Our kids were at the right age. They were, at the perfect age to be interested in that. And still, Marley, our oldest, just turned. She's almost 17. But man, when she turned 16 and was able to help drive, and all these things came the timing. I see flower farmers start with, babies still on their hip, and I just think that'd be really difficult. But for us, everybody was up walking and no naps, and we just worked it in our schedule. We schooled in the morning and we did stuff in the afternoon, and God made me a person that doesn't have to have a lot of sleep, and so there was really early mornings and late nights, but I'm getting older. That's a little trickier. But anyhow, the transition wasn't, it felt very natural to do that. Like, when I say, like, everybody was a farmer before me, okay, my family, mm-hmm. So it made sense to be a part of that,
Yeah. So did I catch that you guys homeschool?
Mm-hmm.
So when did you guys start doing that? What's your journey with that been like?
Well, we were like 7 years in, and yeah, it was another, Bobby and I just kind of talked about it. It was something that was always on my heart. I actually taught with Epic their very first and second year. When we moved here, Miles was 6 months old, and we had a 3-year-old, and I watched some families do it really well. And then I saw some that were like, oh, okay, well, that's why that's why we have homeschool.
That's a way to do it.
Yeah, it is a way to do it. But I watched some, and I, just from afar. And so that was really encouraging. And then just as the kids got older, and they were gone longer, and it was really on my heart. Like, I brought these children into the world so I could enjoy them, and teach them like how we do things. And so that's how we transitioned into homeschooling. They went to public school. It was good. We had great teachers, good relationships still. We still run into them around town, and they ask about the kids. But I enjoy being able to be with them, and especially being able to focus on different parts of life that are, we school hard. They have a pretty rigorous schedule, and so I'm happy to be able to watch them struggle through things and work hard and accomplish something. That's rewarding. So
that's really great.
Yeah.
I was actually just about to ask you what's been the most rewarding part, and then you just answered my question before I could ask it.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
awesome.
probably with that, like watching them, I see a lot of families, and I understand. I mean, different scenarios change, your family dynamics might change, but watching them go from elementary school and into, like, I have a junior in high school, I mean, she'll be a senior, and like, she's done the hard work, and she's doing great, and so starting something and being able to finish the homeschooling process, I've enjoyed that. So that's been, we're not all the way done.
Mm-hmm.
We joke, we're like, oh man, Mo graduates, that will be woo.
Yeah. And how old is he now? How far away from that is he?
He is 12. He's 12. So he's in 5th grade. He needed an extra year. So anyways.
So OSU is what brought you guys to Stillwater?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you from originally?
I grew up in Elk City,
Okay.
Western Oklahoma. Yeah.
Yeah.
On a dryland cotton farm. I was the only child, and I grew up like 2 miles from my dad's mom and dad and about 6 miles from my mom's mom and dad. So we're all in the same area, and no siblings. And Bobby had that's my husband, he had a real different, he grew up in a smaller town in Kansas, and then his mom and dad moved to Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And it is a booming metropolitan area.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say Tennessee's beautiful and pretty, but I mean, to Bobby, he just wanted out of there. He wanted to be in his own place. His dad did joke that he was going to marry some Oklahoma girl that didn't want to leave, and then that is what happened. So, when we were first dating, we thought we would move to Colorado, but I was like, I just don't think I can leave my family.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here, but we're real happy. We did move to Edmond our first 4 years of marriage, because we got married actually before my senior year of college. He's a year older than me, but Edmond was too big. We love Stillwater. So it's just, there's good energy, and it's just, I don't know. The only downside is when you come to Stillwater, wondering if your kids will go to college there. That has been the only thing that I can see is like a downside. Marley wants to go off and do her own thing. So we respect it, but OSU's great.
Yeah. So you secretly wish she'll stay.
Yeah, we
not so secretly.
Yes. Not so secretly. Every time we put that on the top of her stack, OSU mail. Like, hey, check it out. It's a sign. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm born and raised in Stillwater, and growing up, it's just like you either stay in Stillwater and go to OSU, or you go as far away as possible. That's like
we are seeing that.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, that's what all my friends were like.
I'm glad you stayed.
I'm too. Yeah, I love it. And when my wife and I met, I knew I wanted to stay here, and I said, hey, I would really like if we could stay here.
Yeah.
She said, yeah, I love Stillwater. So
I mean, we came back. We thought we were going to do something, and it was just jobs. Like we hadn't even, Marley came by pretty quick into our marriage, and so we weren't even really thinking radar, like, where are we? We just needed a job because we were pregnant and young. Yeah. And so, but we knew we wanted to come back. So it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How has Stillwater changed over the years that you've been here?
I mean, it has grown for sure. I feel like it is, I feel like it's still small. Like you still run into everybody that Like I watch it grow, but like you can always run into somebody that you knew from so and so, or from church, or from out, when you were in elementary school or something. So I think it is growing, but I like how there's still a lot of local businesses and just smiley, happy people, and I don't know, a sense of pride in the community. So I mean, I'm not just saying that. Like we knew Stillwater was a special place, and that we wanted to be back here for that.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you guys came back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really unique with OSU and Stillwater. I was talking to someone the other day, and they said there's just this like Venn diagram of like Stillwater people and OSU people, and sometimes the OSU people stay and sometimes they leave. But
yeah. Well, and there's also, I mean, when we lived in Edmond, like there's a big, that overlapping as well, and to experience Stillwater as an adult, a young married and then like transition into having a business and stuff. We watch that and it's been really welcoming, you know. So yeah, I agree. But it does, you have a different, it doesn't feel, it just gets bigger, I guess, like more people, more families. It doesn't feel like the college is the only thing that defines Stillwater.
Right.
There's a lot more to Stillwater than OSU. So happy it's here, but it's not. I love that they're here, and I'm always sad when they leave, but I'm happy when they come back. I love the college kids. It gives us energy. So.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people who come back.
Yeah.
When they're like, once they've graduated OSU, they're in their 30s. They've gone and worked.
Yeah.
In whatever big city they wanted to work in originally, but then when they're ready to settle down, so many of them come back to OSU or come back to Stillwater because of their time at OSU.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a good place.
Yeah. Really great place. So you were talking about local businesses. I know that you don't have a storefront for your flowers, correct? Or you have your farm store.
Yeah. Yeah.
When can people come by there?
Well, we are working on having more consistent hours throughout the week, like probably. Well, I can't say anything, but we do have you. Not yet. We're not ready to announce that. But
follow on social media for updates.
Yeah, but we, people like really last year. We've had some really funny stories. People just popping in and leaving money on the counter. I love it. Like that's totally fine with me. This is exactly the type of thing I want. I want it to be very casual, and I want people to, but this is a place that we can serve, and if they need flowers, they heard, my buddy got flowers for a date, and I was on my way to a date, and you didn't answer your phone, because I'm terrible at answering my phone, okay? But they came, and that makes, I laugh, we all laugh. So there will be more consistent hours, and stay tuned, yeah. So, but
people can also buy them in a few different places around town, right?
Yeah. Our Aspen friends have been there for over 2 years on the Aspen in Fountain Square, and I mean, that really is just a huge blessing. It's our customers are consistent there, and that's where a lot of other, we've done engagement parties and we've done a few weddings, just small weddings, but and we've done several things on campus with different colleges, but I think a lot of it is the customers that we have just continued to build a relationship with in Aspen, just being consistent, being there, saying yes whenever possible. I try to do that. Vicki at Bear Creek, that's who we buy from. They are, again, I mean, I keep saying everybody's a blessing, but they are. This is not just a me and Bobby business, okay? It has taken a village, and I mean, obviously you gotta have customers, but they're very consistent. But Vicki, she always says to, say yes whenever possible, and I feel like I try to do that because this is important. It is a flower business, but it's way bigger than that, and I don't want to be. It's not more important than any other flower business here. That is not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying I need and appreciate our customers for helping us fulfill this duty and this mission that we have, and it takes those people. So I think I digressed on the conversation.
No, you're great. I love that you all have kind of your core landscaping business, but then you do this sort of separate from that, and that you do it to fund the orphanage.
Yeah.
That's really great. So what exactly is your relationship with the orphanage?
Well, okay, so that started, Mosi came home. Our youngest is adopted from Congo. And we went the traditional route. We had went through, an agency, an adoption. We went through an adoption agency, and we tried to continue that route until we brought him home, and just different things got in the way. It wasn't just for our family, it was the whole country of DRC. About 2.5 years in, they quit issuing exit permits, which is like the last piece of paper you get. I mean, he was in Alsup for, 18, 19 months before we could bring him home. Like,
oh, wow.
OSU, the USA recognized him as our son, DRC recognized him as our son, but we couldn't bring him home. Mm. That just happens. But that, from there, we just, work within a community, and you get to know other people that are going through this process. And so through other families, we found Siddiqui. So he helped one other family because he's a translator. He speaks 13 languages. He works for the UN, and he's like a subcontractor. He's done that the whole time I've known him. And so he has some relationships and people that help him. Like, he knows who to ask, I guess. I mean, just the reality is third world country doesn't work how America does. Okay. So Siddiqui helped us get that piece of paperwork for him. And I kept up with him because why would you not? Like, that was a huge part of our life. And he helped finish that by bringing him home. And we just kept asking questions and like more, personal and spiritual. And we just kept up with him. So that's where Siddiqui. So we planned that. I mean, I was always praying and begging to Bobby that we would have one more, like we could adopt a girl, a younger girl, and that never worked out, but it's kind of crazy because now we have 31 kids, we don't just have one more, we have 31. But Siddiqui just kept up with him, and come to find out, through the months that was on his heart to start an orphanage. Well, he had he was also an orphan. Somebody helped him go to college, and his degree is like administrative, like administrative coordination, or, I can't remember the whole full name, but that was on his radar to do this, because he's a Christian and he wants to serve in that way, but he didn't have the means. And so we for a while, just kept trying to think, how can we help more families, hook them up with children? Ideally, a child will stay in their home that they're born in. That's ideal. That doesn't always happen in countries like this, or even here. It can happen everywhere. But if not, then you can, there's other ways. And anyhow, kind of ended up to where just starting somewhere. And so that's when we started about 10 months in, just sending like, hey, let's just start this. He found a place to rent. We got beds. We hired a nanny. And I mean, it was easy for him to find 12 kids. And so we started sending money for food was the first step. And then, I mean, it's kind of just rolled through that. We were paying for rent. That was a huge portion of our budget. Like, take that away, and then you could easily take on 3 or 4 more kids. And that's what we did. We just, for 1 year, he had land, and then we sent money to build on. And so, I don't know, that's how it worked. And I mean, it's really, there's not much to it. Like, we just kept saying yes and just kept trusting that the money would be there and the Lord would provide. And I mean, that's exactly how the flower thing has happened. Like, we'd take on more kids, and not frivolously, not like that, but just as faithfully as we could. Now, I'm telling you, there was some scary times. There's been times when we have had no money, in our Congo account, but it's crazy stories. People would send a check I didn't even know was coming the day before school was due, early on. And so anyhow, we knew, you have to be responsible, and you learn through what you're doing. And so we wanted to be more responsible for these kids, and that's where we gained more sponsors, and that's where the flower farm came in. And so it's kind of, I want to say, like, this is a business, but 100% of that is like, that's for our kids. It has nothing to do, like, it kind of worked out that it was about using farming methods, and that's a good part too. That's what I know. And so, does that make sense, Denver?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Sometimes I go down a rabbit hole, so reel me in if you need to.
Oh, no. You're great. I love that a lot of people think about small businesses, and I think Bobby Wintle said it the best when I asked him, what do you think the biggest misconception people have about small business owners is? And he said, they think that we're all millionaires.
Yeah. Yes. Right. Right.
But then there are people like you guys who start an entire side of your business to fund an orphanage in the Congo.
Uh-huh.
And who would think that something like that exists in Stillwater? You know,
I don't know.
and people don't. And if people don't know, then they don't know to support it, you know. But
Yeah.
there are all kinds of incredible businesses here in town, and there are people who struggle to make them happen, and small business owners who have big dreams make stuff like that happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just me. I always say
Yeah.
I
course,
know what
of
you're
course.
saying.
Yeah.
We're on
People
the same
like you
page.
all.
Yeah, it's a group effort, but it works. I know they do too at district. Like you just work so hard, like, and you're never done. You know, it's funny because Bobby and I both taught at one point. You know, we were both teaching and both coaching when Marley was. I mean, she grew up on the basketball bus, you know, or on the court. He was coaching or I was. And anyways, it's funny how there's this thing with teachers that they're always working and they're all, you know, I feel like it's like that with our business. Like, I mean, we have really wild hours, you know, and there's always stuff to do, you know, but it's good because it's your own. You can forge it and make it and twist it and move it. And I don't know. It's good.
Yeah. What would you say to someone thinking about starting a small business?
Slow and steady. Yeah. And I feel like we got that advice, like from my dad with the orphanage. He supported us. He was, you know, he's a little concerned. There were obvious concerns of, okay, how are you going to do this? And I mean, he knows he knows me, you know. But I think that was a really good piece of advice. And just start too. Like I didn't have everything figured out when I sold my first bunch, you know, and I just asked. Like that's been another really meaningful thing. Like I can look back on. I remember calling Tara and just throwing this out, like, hey, what do you think about this? And Jeremy, like back in the day when we first started selling at Aspen, and then even being here now at Roundhouse, it was just one thing led to another. And you just, sometimes businesses approach us and sometimes they, you know, we approach them, but, you know, start somewhere. And I think it's good to have a plan, but like just trust the process of you're going to fail. You know, you're not going to do everything right, but if you don't start, you're never going to succeed, you know? That's really cliche, but you do have to start somewhere. So, yeah. Which I guess is how we built a orphanage as well. And that was just a crazy thing. I never thought that was going to happen, but here we are. So, yeah.
So was it just that through that connection that basically he wanted to start an orphanage and you all wanted to support and partner with him and make that happen?
Yeah. I mean, when we knew, you know, when we went through the process, like mostly was just, he's our son. Like this is not a mission. He's our little boy, you know? I mean, he's taller than me now, but like he's our son, you know? But a year or two into that, like I was getting some tugging and some like, okay, like, you know, I was in the middle of being at home with kids and when they were young, you know, diapers and napping, and some of them weren't sleeping still through the night. And I just had a feeling, and like, I was like, I want to, like, please God, just use me wherever, if there's something here that I can help you do on the earth, like, let me do that. I like, prepare me. What is it going to be, you know? And so we just kept following that. So that's what I'm saying. There was no plan. I was a CIO here at OSU and had really great friends that I looked up to. I mean, I had some that, you know, it seemed unheard of for me growing up in Western Oklahoma. Like this is just a small example, but like they didn't kiss their husband until the wedding day. I'm like, what? I didn't even know people did that, you know? but they had these really strong spiritual integrity, you know? And so they would, you know, some of them knew they wanted to adopt, or they had already been to Uganda for a whole summer, or they spent their, you know, the year after they graduated college, they spent a year serving somewhere, you know, for a mission. My world wasn't that big. So I didn't know that this is where we would be, you know. So we just kept saying yes. And then, here we are, I guess. I know that sounds weird.
No, it makes perfect sense. You said yes at every little opportunity, and it led you to a big thing.
I guess, yeah.
And you said how many kids are in the orphanage currently?
31.
31. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's neat.
Yeah.
And we just had our first graduate too. So his name's Danny. And, I lost my dad. My dad had a heart attack like 9 years ago. So about the time that we started this. So that was another piece of the puzzle that I could, that was a healing process to continue that on and work alongside Bobby with, towards that goal. But anyways, my dad's name was Danny, and our first graduate was Danny, and actually Siddiqui and Dorcas about 3 weeks ago had their 7th child, and they let me name him. I've never named somebody else's child, but wow. I named him Danny, or Daniel. Yeah, so because my middle name is Danielle. So, anyways, that's how that all came together.
So let's talk about small business in Stillwater. What are some hidden gems in Stillwater that you really like that people broadly might not know about? They might not see it driving down like a main road or something like that.
Oh.
Other than Thrive Flower Farm.
Oh, man. I work a lot, Denver.
We all do.
Yeah, I know. I'm not great at knowing what the new thing is.
Do you have any friends who own businesses?
I mean, Roundhouse. They're our friends. I'm friends with the people that are that we work with.
Yeah.
Golden Dragon that's a pretty common place that you will find us. But right now we are trying not to eat the rice thing. So, but yeah, we really like Golden Dragon, and we like El Chico. I think that's
El Chico.
Chico's. El Chico was back in the day.
I was like, that was a while back. Same spot, different building.
Oh boy.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, we haven't been to Chico's. What's it like?
You definitely need to go. I just feel like their flavor, simply their rice and their beans it's a really great flavor. You don't have to season your food extra. Salsa is really fresh. It's just good. Yeah, it's good. It's different than everywhere. To me. Yeah. So
great. What is your favorite community event around Stillwater throughout the year?
I enjoy homecoming. I think it's nostalgic. It brings me back to the good old days. Of being a Cayo and all night pomp, and that's fun. I do like that. I enjoy. And just in general, football season. I'm always excited when it's fall. Mm-hmm. The weather's pretty. Kids, it seems like everybody's just in a better mood because we've made it through another really hot summer, and maybe it'll rain, and so I like that. I like football season. It's funny. I don't really watch a lot of football. I like for it to be on, but I like the idea of the fall. I think it's probably just the season of it. But yeah.
Yeah. What is you and your family's favorite activity to do around town?
Denver, you're asking some really good questions. Well, the boys. I'm not sure. Bobby and I try to go here and there by ourselves, out to eat, like to Da Vinci's, or just have some time alone without the kids, because we're around our kids a lot. But we really, and Marley and my mom and I, we enjoy going to the antique malls. We don't get to do it a whole lot, but that's really fun. There's some really great gems. So.
Have you been to the new one, Memory Lane, over here?
That's on our to-do list.
Okay.
Yes.
It's great. You should check it out.
Yeah.
We've been several times.
Oh,
just
good.
For fun. Because what I really like about a lot of the antique stores in Stillwater is that they're really good about putting out their seasonal stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like you go in the summer, totally different than going in the fall.
Yeah.
Totally different than going around Christmas time. Totally different,
Yes.
Especially when it's one that has all the different booths and things like that.
Yeah. We enjoy that. And you always see something new and something fun. So, yeah, we enjoy that.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Yeah. All right. Well, any final thoughts about Stillwater or?
I like the direction it's going.
Yeah.
I I think I'm looking forward to Block 34. I think that's going to bring a lot of great energy. I like I know we're in Roundhouse right now, but just taking these old buildings and making them neat. There's just great shops downtown. Like you can go downtown and see something new all the time, and I think that's a good direction that Stillwater is going. And I don't know. It's a good little town. Little.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Thanks, Denver. I appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to Still Connect. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Sara. Be sure to check out Thrive Flower Farm on all their social media, linked in the show notes below. And if you loved today's episode, don't forget to follow the podcast on social media as well, where I share highlights, updates, and more. Also, be sure to share the podcast with all of your Stillwater friends so that we can grow the podcast and our community. If you believe in building community through these conversations, consider supporting the podcast on Patreon, where for a small monthly commitment, you can get early access to episodes, a peek behind the curtain at the podcast making process, and a shout out on an episode. With a higher contribution, you can submit questions for upcoming guests, make special requests for the show, get access to online Q&As, and even be on the podcast for an interview segment. No matter what your capacity for supporting the podcast is, every little bit helps grow this amazing community. And we all need community. So even when life gets busy, make sure you still connect.